Alright, so we got our position marked and we just half hammer our holes, just get an indentation in there. That's 2mm thick leather, so get it in there 1mm. You just want to be able to see it, and you want the knife edge to be able to sit inside the hole punch mark. So this is really good for when you need to make a belt, and the belt buckle's not one that you're used to and you don't have the crew punch for it, so this is a really good technique for that, where you need to custom make your hole. So I've half punched my holes, I've got my lines marked between the edges. Not that it really matters, because what you do is you key up the knife in each hole at the top and bottom up against your ruler, and then you lightly drag it down, not all the way though, because you don't want to cut into the next hole. You want to cut up to it, because we can turn it around and cut back the other way. So you cut a little line in there, get it in there about halfway through the leather, and then you can take the ruler away and actually start cutting more deeply. But at first you just want to do some light cuts so that the blade will travel along nicely. So now I'm cutting right through, but not cutting all the way through to the other side, so I'll turn it around for that. Cut all the way through, starting at your hole, but not cutting all the way through to the next hole, because if your knife cuts through that, then you've just ruined it. Then you take your hole punch, punch the whole way through both ends. Pop that out, and now you should have a nice clean oval shaped hole. You can see on that there's a tiny little tag on the inside, and that can be just cleaned up with a scalpel. But it's pretty good. It doesn't take that much longer than using a crew punch. If you're doing this all the time and doing a massive production run, you just go and get a crew punch to suit that particular buckle. But for custom work, this is what I do all the time. And then you can edge crease around that as well. I like to do that. And then either paint the inside of the hole or burnish it.
What happened to my babies?
Yeah, so that same method can be used when you're doing internal corners. This will make a much neater internal corner than, say, cutting it with a knife. So you mark your lines. What I've done here is I've drawn lines that have stopped 5mm short of the actual corner, because I'm using a 10mm hole punch. It means I've got a 5mm radius. So I line that up with each line on each corner so that the hole punch is cutting through the line. And give it half a punch. Just make sure it's in there enough for the knife to key in. Get your ruler on the line. Key that knife up into the edge of your hole. Run a few short, light cuts, and then come back and do your deep cuts, because it's going to follow that initial cut and not going to deviate. Same again on the other side. So you can do this when you're doing like inlays and things like that. Inlays on knife sheaths, on wallets. They're often got lots of internal corners, and you don't want scrappy corners on an inlay, because that's a big feature. So you finish by hammering out the last piece, and you got yourself a beautiful, neat radius. Only needs a touch with some sandpaper and it's done. I'll just show you what happens if you don't do the half hole punch method. So I'll just quickly do this. 25 mil between the ends. Right. So let's just knock our holes all the way through. Key up our knife inside the hole. We run our little cut down, spin it around. You can find that from both ends. And now let's cut it out. Now what you can see is you've got yourself these parts here and here, where you haven't actually got the full width of the hole. Because there's no meat in the leather here to give resistance to your knife actually moves further into the hole each time whenever you do that cut. So keeping that leather in this space allows for more precision basically when you're doing that cut, and you don't end up with that lip in here that you've got to then clean up later, and then you can really just ruin your whole hole, because then you've got to come back and try and get that, you know, another millimetre or half a millimetre wider to match the hole width, and you just wasted a whole bunch of time basically. So leave the holes half punched, cut your straight lines, and then hole punch out afterwards, and you'll avoid that.